So let's begin. You tell me, give me a recap of what we've done before so that we can move forward accordingly.
We are doing consumer surplus, producer surplus, and maximum and minimum pricing. All about
Yeah.
government intervention.
Yeah, okay. And we have done all of that, right?
Yes.
So what do you mean by maximum price and minimum price? Where is it set? What happens? Can you just give me a quick overview? Not in too much detail, but like just a quick go through.
Maximum price is below the equilibrium, and minimum price is above the equilibrium.
Okay. And yeah, continue.
And the line below the above the price and below the demand is consumer surplus.
Line up below demand, above price.
Yeah, above price and below demand.
Yeah,
Is
that is
consumer
what?
surplus.
Yes, very good.
And producer surplus is basically something which is an excess amount, extra. And the one line which is actually look at the graph.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and below the price and above the supply is producer surplus.
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
That is correct. Okay. Surplus is the excess amount that producer surplus is the excess amount that the consumer is willing to produce. Okay, all those units that a producer is willing to produce, but of course there comes a price, and beyond that price, then there is no need to produce those excess amounts. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So shall we move forward with our maximum price, minimum price work? Because we took a step back to look at the surplus.
Yes.
Okay. So we did this. There we spoke about maximum price. This was our graph, which was this our graph? This was our graph, which really confused you for a second.
Is the screen share on?
No. I'll share the screen with you just a second.
Yes.
Do you have your notes and everything ready with you?
Yes, miss.
Okay, perfect. So we are going to, okay, now Durya, tell me one thing from the, just letting you know about the next week. We will have classes. I just want to sort this out on Wednesday and Thursday at 6 p.m.
When Thursday 6 p.m. Okay, miss.
That was your previous slot, right? Before the change in the afternoon slot.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so we're going to go back to those starting from Monday, like next week. So next Wednesday, you will join in the evening at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay, miss.
Okay. And you will use my link. So we're clear with this.
Yes, miss. I'll use this link.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, done. Now, government intervention happens why, Durya?
If there is fault in the market, if it's not working effectively.
What were the reasons that we discussed? Can you tell me the economic reasons rather than just the random ones here and there?
Production of demerit goods, underproduction of merit goods, and monopolies.
What are merit goods?
Merit goods are something like healthcare, education, and demerit like cigarette, alcohol, something that's harming the
Society.
Yes, miss. This monopolies because it's unfair system.
Right. Okay. So now I'm going to move forward because you pretty much do remember the previous stuff. Okay. And what did we discuss about the surplus, that after minimum price, there's a minimum price is set for what?
Minimum price.
Yeah.
Better for the producers. If they are paying low, they need to be at least paid above it so they can make profit.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue. Where did I go? Now we are moving towards inflation.
Before this, I have a small doubt.
Yeah.
Maximum and minimum, there is like ineffective and effective. If you could like tell me how to draw that graph. Minimum ineffective and maximum effective.
Okay, sure. Okay. Maximum, minimum, ineffective. That's what you want, right? Yeah. You can't see my screen.
No, miss, it's not there.
Now you can see my screen,
Yes, miss.
right? Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Now, Durya, maximum price. We discussed all these consumer producer surpluses and you got them correct, okay? Minimum price, we set it above market equilibrium. It puts a downward pressure and we finally reach it. Sorry, it puts an upward pressure and then the equilibrium point changes. We discussed the purposes of maximum price and minimum price as well, right? So you know the concept of inelastic and elastic demand or no?
Yes, miss.
Okay, what is elastic and inelastic?
Elastic demand is when a small proportionate change in price will have a drastic change in the quantity demanded. When inelastic, a small proportional change or even large will not have a greater change on quantity demanded. Inelastic.
Absolutely. Now, an ineffective price, let's draw it because that is how it will be better explained. In ineffective minimum price is when, see, effective and ineffective is, you know that maximum price needs to be set. So this is our maximum price. It needs to be set below the market price. See, maximum price is below the market price. Okay. Because my maximum price, for example, I was selling it at $100 previously, but now I'm selling it at $70. My maximum price is basically that above 70, I cannot sell anything. So do you see this 70? This is 70 and this is 100. Okay. If the maximum price was here, which was at 120, would it be effective?
No.
Why would I want to raise prices and call it a maximum price? Then it's not a maximum price.
Yes.
You are putting a limit. This is a limit. This is a minimum price. This is your limit. Okay. This over here is effective as a maximum price, but 120 is not effective.
Because it's above the equilibrium. Yes.
Yeah, because it's already you are selling it at a price, all right, but then you're saying move it higher, but then that's not a maximum price. That means you're putting a minimum price.
Yeah.
If the price is set below price, then it is a maximum price.
Yes, miss.
Okay, it's like, okay, stop everything and listen to this. It's like saying, Durya, you are using your phone for 5 hours in a day. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, 5 hours in a day you're using your phone. Your mother tells you, no, Durya, you cannot use you can use, the limit is 7 hours. Is this a maximum or a minimum or what?
This is minimum.
This is minimum. You're like, okay, 7 hours, say less I can't use, right? You know, less than 7 hours is unacceptable.
Yeah.
So, but if you are using your phone for 5 hours, and if your parents tell you, no, Durya, 3 hours is your limit. So they've put a maximum amount on you, right? They've put a maximum duration. So you will have to curtail your usage in such a way that you come down to 3 hours a day.
Yes, miss.
Because this amount is less than what you were previously spending on your phone, this is an effective minimum duration, maximum duration. Like this is the max. You were consuming the device for 5 hours. The limit is set at 3 hours. So
now through the reduction of usage.
So this is an effective limit, right?
Yes, miss.
So for example, you are not reading books at all. Okay, you read 0 hours a day, but I set this hour for you that every day you have to read 2 hours. You have to read an economics book, the textbook, for 2 hours a day. I am setting a minimum duration for you, that minimum at least you have to read for 2 hours. Maximum you can keep reading for 100 hours. I don't mind.
Okay. Yes, miss.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, miss.
All right, perfect. Now can we move on?
Yes, miss.
What do you want to move on to now, next? So technically, after this, you have inflation. The topic that comes is inflation.
Okay, let's do inflation. I'll write the heading inflation.
Yeah, or actually, wait, we could even go over a buffer stock. Do you know what a buffer stock is? Have you done it?
Yes, miss, in class I have done that.
So you want to revise that buffer stock?
Okay, miss. You can just give me a small recap and then you can start with the new topic.
Okay. Actually, we could do this. How do basically government intervention? There's a little small topic. Okay. Yeah. Another small topic that we go over in government intervention is governments can intervene in the agricultural market in 3 ways. That there's a buffer stock scheme, there's guaranteed price, and there's income support. What is a buffer stock scheme? A buffer stock is a reserve of a commodity that can be used to offset price fluctuation. Buffer is basically stored up stock. Okay, stock that is in reserve, extra stock. Okay, so for example, tomorrow, if you go to the today, if you go to the supermarket, you buy 50 cans of Pepsi because you know that, oh, soon or later the price is going to change. So whenever that happens, you are not worried about the price change because you've already done your share. You've already prepared for the rainy days. Okay. Now, similarly, farmers also need to do this. That what happens if some up and down happens in their productions? What happens if the prices are not favorable? So they keep a reserve. Now, who keeps this reserve? I want you to write a few things down.
Yes.
First of all, I want you to define buffer stock scheme in your own words, which is a reserve of a commodity. A buffer stock is what is a buffer stock? I'm just talking about a buffer stock right now. A buffer stock is a reserve of a commodity. A commodity is goods, basically your products.
Yes.
Okay. A buffer stock is a reserve of a commodity
Yes.
that can be used
Can be used
to offset, OFFSET, that can be used to offset price fluctuation. That means if the prices are changing, we are not getting too worried about it because we already have a buffer stock. Now, why do we have a buffer stock? Because the supply of agricultural products is very erratic. What does that mean? It keeps changing. It's constantly fluctuating. As a result, there is uncertainty. So the agricultural market is the most uncertain market ever. Why is that so? Because you never know when a natural disaster can happen, when there's a fire, when maybe the crops don't turn out fine, maybe there's some disease that the plants have gotten and the crop is not healthy enough for human consumption. So there's too much happening because of climate change, especially in Pakistan and places like Bangladesh and India. Because of climate change, these agricultural communities, these agricultural countries are facing a lot of problem.
Yes.
Okay, it becomes too hot for certain areas, which is why the crops don't grow well. The crops get burnt because of that excess heat. Okay, so agricultural market is very unstable.
Buffer stock schemes only work in agriculture market or like other?
They are heavily used for agricultural market. Agricultural market includes cotton, rice, wheat, grains, lentils, all these raw materials basically. So cotton is again not used for consumption, but it's used for consumption in terms of your textile, not
Yes.
consumption in terms of food. So don't mix agricultural material only with food. It can also mean raw material for clothes and even furniture to a certain extent depends on wood.
Okay.
Are you getting it? Okay. So now the supply, you need to understand
Yes.
that, let's start a new whiteboard. So you need to understand one thing, that although the supply of agricultural products keeps changing, the supply can move up and down.
Yes, miss.
So buffer stock, in which we are talking about the instability in supply. Uncertain supply, but demand is stable. Stable demand.
Yes. People will still want to buy goods.
Yeah, if my consumption, my country is consuming a certain ton of rice or a certain million tons of wheat, then it's not that the population is dying in 2 days and nobody's eating.
Will remain the same, yes.
Yes, if the crops have gotten burnt or if the crops have gotten eaten by some disease or whatever, so what? The demand is still same. People want food. Okay. So
Yes.
buffer stock scheme works in two ways. The first one is when buffer stock scheme works to stabilize price. Buffer stock scheme, number one, to stabilize price. So if you are looking at consumption of wheat, which is like in 2001, we can say the consumption was 105. In 2002, the consumption was 98 million tons or whatever. Okay, I'm just giving you rough estimates. In 2003, the supply was 100 million tons. 2004, it was 95, and in 2005, it was 102. So what happens is we take out the average and we say that the average consumption is average supply that needs to be given in the market is it's 100 million tons. The government will now fix a price which equates demand to long-term average supply. Now, what do I mean by this? Here comes the graph. And you will understand this concept very smoothly in a minute. Okay. There is a price. There's a supply limit. Our average that we came out, what the quantity supplied should be. What was our average, Zuria?
100.
100. So our quantity supplied is fixed at 100. Okay, and we fixed a price as well that at 50 per unit, I need this much supply. Okay. Just a minute, please. Okay. So we have a fixed supply over here, like this one. Our supply curve is here. And we have another supply curve here. Now these are straight supply curves because the supply was not changing. Okay. So we were getting a fixed supply of wheat. This is supply 1, this is supply 2. Supply 1 was at getting 103, and supply 2 is that you were getting 98 units. I'm referring to this one.
Yes.
Okay. Now 100 to 98, that means these 2 million extra tons that I am getting, I will release the 2 million units from the buffer stock into the market to overcome the shortage. Now, what is happening, Durya? You have to understand. Let's go step by step. I have told the suppliers to give me 100 million tons of wheat. But that particular year in 2006, what happened is that maybe the crops were so good that my supply was here. I got, instead of 100 tons, I got 103 tons. Okay.
So you promised market you would provide 100, but you provided 103.
No. I didn't provide. I just provide 100, but I saved this extra 3.
Okay, so 3 belongs to the farmer, like excess amount.
This much I save. Okay, this much the government, now the saved amount is with the government. We are talking about government intervention. Okay. So the government has kept this amount. That all right, I'm going to save this with me. Next year, unfortunately, COVID happens and there is no production or very limited production. So what happens is that, oh my God, I'm way below, I'm way beneath my consumption. My consumption is 100, but the farmer has only given me 97,000 tons. What will I do?
The 3 you saved can be used here.
Yes. So I
Okay.
don't need to, or otherwise the price will be here. The price will be here. Maybe this is $80. Nobody will buy at 80. So in order to maintain the price, what I do is that I put that excess 3 and make the amount 100 without changing any price. I tell my population, I tell my people that don't worry, we have enough wheat. Although the farmers will say, oh, we are shortage, there's a shortage in supply, we don't have enough, we can't provide for everyone. So people like you and I will be like, oh my God, we need to stock up, we need to do something about it. But the government says, don't worry, dear people, we have your back. We are here for you. You are going to get wheat at the normal price of $50, and there's enough wheat for everyone that was previously consuming. Do you see how buffer stock works?
Yes, miss.
Okay.
So it's basically in time of excess, government will store it, and in time of shortage, they will provide that the one that was saved before.
Yes. So basically, let me just write it down, and if you want to copy, you can. It'll make your life easier. So you have this much amount. Add, government adds the extra 3 units to the buffer stock. Okay. Whereas over here, to overcome the shortage, the government releases the 3 units from the buffer stock into the market to overcome the shortage. Make sense to you?
Yes. But I have a doubt. Who would make profit in this? The agricultural farmers or the government?
Nobody's making a profit. This is, again, I told you, to stabilize price so that nobody goes into a loss. The government is protecting farmers from going into a loss. The purpose is not profit, but to prevent loss. The purpose of a buffer stock to stabilize price is so that there are no losses, because it's better to get a fixed amount of money rather than become greedy and lose out on everything.
Yes, miss.
If the government would have sold all of these 103 units, Durya, for example, at $20, 20 into 103, that's 20. 60 revenue, total revenue. $50 into 100 is 5,000. So this much you need 5,000 as your revenue, okay? And this one here, 80 into 97 at a high price, less units at a high price. 80 is actually a very high price. Let's just take it up to a 60. That's 5820. This time, when the supply was too much, the farmers would only receive 2060 as revenue this year, although they should be receiving a stable income of $5,000.
They're facing loss.
So in this regard, price stability helped the farmers. Buffer stock helped the farmers to maintain a stable revenue.
Yes.
Okay.
No, they were providing for 50 only at 100.
Yes. Okay. This calculation is not needed. You don't need to go into so much depth. This is just for your explanation and your understanding.
Also, they will only get like put for 100 at 50, but the additional 3 they made, they will get like benefit out of it also, right? Because
yeah,
they
but see, Durya, over here you're stabilizing price. Okay,
Yes.
you don't want the market to be so highly volatile. Okay, the
Yes.
purpose of buffer stock to stabilize price is basically so that the consumer doesn't have to suffer, like someday they have to pay too much, sometimes they have to pay too less, so that we are preventing that.
Stabilizing the economy. Yes.
Okay, we want our economy to be stable. We don't want the pressure that every day when we wake up a new price list is being given to us. We don't want that. No country wants fluctuation. Remember, the whole purpose of a stable economy is to avoid economics. The whole purpose is to avoid crazy fluctuations. We want a stable economy. We want a healthy economy, because fluctuations cause unrest in the country and we don't want that.
Yes.
Are you clear? Oh, sorry. So the whole purpose of price stabilization is to protect consumers so that they don't have to go through the hell of waking up to different prices every now and then, which, by the way, which many countries are suffering in today's world.
The price keeps changing for them.
Yes. If you look at economies like Sri Lanka, if you look at economies like Pakistan, even if you look at economies like Russia, this is happening. These are just the very few countries I've named that things are going south for them. Even in some states of America, some places in the UK, everybody is kind of suffering with this instability. All right. Now, we move forward to protect the farmers. we look at the farmers. Now, from a farmer's perspective, we also need to make sure that our producers are happy. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a straight line. Okay. Again, I'm glad we are doing this topic. Okay. So, Durya, we can begin inflation from the next session. I think that will be a sensible idea. What do you suggest?
Yes, miss, we can do inflation. Now we can finish the 2 points and then we can start fresh next class.
Yeah. If you're okay with the pace.
Yes, miss. That's good.
So we have our supply curve. We have another supply curve. So basically, this is what the government has set for the farmer. Okay. This is the revenue that they are gaining. This was the previous price. So let's call this, sorry, supply 1. When the price was P1, when the price went up, this becomes the revenue of our farmer. Okay, it increases. This is Q1, this is Q2. But let's say that there is a demand curve. Once we insert a demand curve into our diagram, we can see how this buffer stock scheme operates in year 1.
Yes.
Therefore, the excess is added to the buffer stock in year 2, and the shortfall is taken up. So let me just add that. Let's take quantity demanded here. Let me use a different color so that you can see. Maybe our demand curve is here. This is our demand curve.
The blue line, like the parabola kind of shape. What is that?
That's a rectangle. That's the rectangular hyperbola.
So it's isn't on demand, like elastic demand.
So there obviously the elasticity has to be set somewhere, no? So this is the red one is the actual demand curve that we've drawn.
And the blue one?
We can erase that. Don't worry about it. All right, here you go. Clear now?
Okay, I'll make a new one.
Okay. Use it like this.
So this is our... Yes, miss.
Okay. Now, here, whatever excess, at times, this concept is more explanatory than diagrammatic. Okay. So, or if you want, we can even. Are you done drawing? Can I clear the board?
Yes, miss. I'll do that.
We're going back to the book now. we've done the guaranteed price. Okay. The income support is what we are doing right now, where we are protecting the farmer's income, how much money he makes. Now, if the season is bad, it means that the farmer is going to make less money. That's understandable. But the government wants to protect these poor farmers from suffering because of seasons and because of all these XYZ factors. Okay. A scheme which keeps the price that farmers receive constant still leads to unstable income. All right. It's never perfect. Remember, the economy is never in perfect condition. Alternatively, the government can stabilize income. They can do something to make sure that no farmer is going home with zero money. Okay. Basically, it's a support. It's not a guarantee. Okay. It's a support. It's an effort by the government to help. Okay. Rather than getting zero, the farmers will get something. Are you understanding that?
It will not give them certainty that it will be beneficial, but they can help them.
It will give them, no, it will give them certainty that, you are not alone and you will not die. We will help you survive, like bare minimum survival.
Yes.
Okay. But of course, sometimes that bare minimum survival is definitely not enough.
They can't make basic needs also.
Yeah.
It says stabilize income, but this means price will still fluctuate. So, Miss, it's contradictory, right? Like, if they want to stabilize the income, they need to face fluctuations in the economy.
Yeah. So see, like I said, the economy is never perfect. You cannot make the whole world happy, that producers are happy, consumers are happy, suppliers are happy, government is happy, there's world peace. No, we are not living in paradise. Okay. So when we see the unitary elasticity curve, unitary elastic means that it remains the same. Where price elasticity of demand is -1. So do you know the concept of unitary elasticity?
Where there's no change in quantity demanded relative to price changes.
That means this basically the amount of price that changes, the demand also changes in the same way, by the same amount. Okay. The demand changes in the same proportion to the supply. So if you are increasing price by 2 units or 2%, even your demand will decrease by 2%. Supply increases by 2%, then the demand decreases by 2%. Price increases by 2%, demand decreases by 2%. So see, the proportion is the same. That's unitary elasticity. Okay. Now, look at this diagram, and I think this will explain a lot. This is our ideal supply. This one, let me make it with red. Ideal supply curve. At this level, our consumers are very happy. Sorry, our producers, our farmers are very happy. They are getting the amount that is good for them. Everybody is satisfied.
Yes.
What happens is that there's one instance, 1 year, in which the supplier gives too much. The supplier says, hi, I had the best crop of my life. I used these new seeds and I produced more wheat than before. Okay. The supplier says, hey, I produced more wheat than before. So take it. The government says, okay, I'll take the excess supply, but you won't get too much revenue for it.
So if supply is high, then price will be low. So they won't
Yes,
get, yes.
because look at where the demand and supply curve are cutting. This point.
Supply is more, prices are less.
Yeah. They're saying, okay, you want less price for it? Oh, then the supplier says, oh, this is not good for me. So then the government sticks to the buffer stock scheme. The government says, okay, hold on. Although you've gotten me more, you've gotten me 50 units extra, I won't release all these 50 units in the market. I'll keep them in my store. I'll save them for later. And the government, obviously the government is not working alone. They're working with the meteorological department, and they're working with health department and all these others. So they have an idea of what the year might look like. So maybe next year the weather department says that, there are going to be too many rains. So please save your food and save your stock accordingly. So the government is making adjustments for that as well,
Yes.
while also making sure that obviously if it's going to rain too much next year, that the farmer will not be able to supply. The farmers will not be able to give that produce to them. So as a result, the government says, okay, we are upon the year where supply had to go down. Now the government can easily say that, you know what, it's the rainy season. What can we do? We are not controlling the rain. We didn't tell rain to come, so go back, poor farmers, we can't help you. Because the price is here now. Do you see this price point?
Yes, miss.
Very high price, very low supply.
Yeah, supply is less here.
Nobody will get it. Nobody will buy it. You and I will stop eating, or maybe we will decrease our consumption, but we will not buy at such a high price. A rational consumer then leaves the market, decides to exit from the market and not consume if it's not in his or her pocket. So that is when the government says, you know what, that time you were fighting with me, but now you should be happy because I am putting in that excess supply that you gave me last year, and I'm bringing prices down to normal. So you will, neither do the consumers need to pay too much, neither do you need to go home penniless.
So everyone is happy at this point.
Yes. So the advantage of buffer stock scheme, can I erase this colorfulness and just move on?
Yes, miss. Yes.
Okay. All right. In a free market, the price would fluctuate from P0 to P1 and 2, and incomes would fluctuate. The government sets price from the unit elastic demand curve so that farmers' incomes are constant. When supply is S1, government sets a price at P4. At this price, the supply is excess. The government buys this, creating a buffer stock. When supply is S2, the government sets the price at P3. There is an excess demand which is eliminated by the government selling the buffer stock. The government is taking out the reserve amount and putting it in the market. Making sense, Durya?
Yes, miss. Till here I am.
We're not going here, we're just stopping over here. Last thing I want to tell you, which is this. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a buffer stock? And I want you to write this in your notebook, please.
Yes, I'm noted.
I like drawing it in a table.
Miss, like once you telling me that if they have extra or surplus amount, they would either like export it or they would burn the excess amount. So in buffer stock scheme, they would do that? Like
No, buffer stock, they are saving. So that's another way of doing minimum and maximum pricing, but buffer stock is like an extension way.
So they won't
Okay.
extend or like
No,
burn.
see, this is a third way. So there's, all right, when you talk about government intervention, Durya, there are, let me first go over that. When we are talking about government intervention, we are talking about tax, we are talking about subsidy,
Yes.
we are talking about maximum price. Number 4, we are talking about minimum price. And we are then also talking about buffer stock, which is another way altogether. Okay. What I was discussing, the burn the surplus and destroy the surplus, that is when minimum price is being used. How to manage a minimum price. How to manage the effects of minimum price. And how do you manage the effects of minimum price? Either you store the surplus, you export the surplus, or in worst case scenario, you destroy the surplus. Getting it?
Yes.
Okay. And a fifth way of how governments can help in the market or how they intervene is through buffer stock, which is either to stabilize price or to stabilize income.
Right.
Okay.
Similar.
Coming back to our advantages and disadvantages of a buffer stock. And in a buffer stock, we are actually talking about stable prices. What's the advantage of using a buffer stock to make prices stable? Or when we are talking about the farmers, to make farmers get stable income. Okay. So the advantages include when we are creating a buffer stock in order to stabilize the prices, the biggest advantage is that the prices are fixed per unit to the farmers. All right. So each farmer is getting a fixed price per unit. Fixed price per unit to farmers. But what is the disadvantage? Now, fixed price per unit. The disadvantage of a buffer stock is that it depends. If farmer A produces 50 units, he's going to get 50 multiplied by 5 price. If farmer B produces 20 units, he's going to get 20 multiplied by 5. So as much as you produce, that much only you will get the money. So this is a disadvantage because it's talking about per unit. More production, more price, less production, less price. Now that depends. So the farmer cannot say, oh, the government gave me less money. Well, hello, Mr. Farmer, the government gave everybody the same money. You are a lazy person and you didn't produce much.
So that's on the farmer.
That's on the farmer. The farmer cannot cry and say, oh, government is killing me. No, government is not killing you. You are your own murderer. Final income may vary depending on the units produced. This is what I just explained you. This is a disadvantage.
Also, Miss, in advantage, we can write low fluctuation, right? Because prices are
Yes.
stable.
Yeah. Depending on the units produced. Okay. In stable income, for stable income, it's a fixed guaranteed, sorry, illegible, fixed or guaranteed income but the disadvantage is that supply may vary. Sometimes there will be a surplus, sometimes there could be a shortage. So supply may vary. Sometimes surplus or sometimes there could be a shortage as well.
Yes. Yes, I noted down all points.
All right. Durya, any confusion?
No, I understood this, Professor Jackson.
All right. Now go over your notes. You have enough time. Okay,
Yes.
revise them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, revise them well. And what I will be doing from the next class is that we will move to inflation. So I'm also taking a note of this, and also remind me if I forget that we will be doing inflation. Inflation with Durya. Okay, now Durya, you missed one class.
Yes, miss.
Yesterday's. So can you take this class on Tuesday?
Yes, on Tuesday.
Tuesday is going to be 3rd January. Okay, and the time is going to be 6 p.m.
Inshallah, miss. Okay.
So Tuesday, 6 p.m., 3rd January, same link.
Yes, I'll join the same link, inshallah.
All right. Okay. See you then. Bye-bye. Take care. Just revise your notes. Anything that's confusing. I always tell my students, just take a pencil, put a question mark, and we can discuss it in the next class. If not, we can move forward. Right?
Yes.
Hope the class was productive. See you on Tuesday.
Yes, miss. Sure.
All right. Bye.
Bye, miss.